So you're thinking about moving to the Charlotte area, which is absolutely booming. But man, those rising costs are making you think twice, right? Well, what if I told you that right next door in Cabarrus County, you could get all that southern charm for a whole lot less? Let's actually break down the real numbers.
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? The Charlotte dream. What's it really going to cost you? We're going to dig into the numbers and see how it stacks up against its more suburban neighbor, Cabarrus County, to find out.
All right, so first things first, let's get the lay of the land. On one side, you've got Charlotte, the Queen City, this major hub for banking, culture, all that good stuff. And then right next door, you've got Cabarrus County. Think Concord, Kannapolis. It's got that quieter, more suburban vibe, but it's literally just a stone's throw away. And let's just cut right to the chase, the bottom line. Living in Charlotte is going to set you back about 5 to 7% more than living in Cabarrus County. But, what does a percentage like that actually mean for your bank account? Okay, so for a family of 4, that little 5 to 7% difference, it translates to needing about $5,000 more every single year just to live comfortably in Charlotte. I mean, think about it. That's a family vacation right there. That's a huge boost to your savings or a serious chunk of a college fund. Okay, so where's all that extra cost coming from? No surprise here, the biggest driver is housing. It's almost always the largest slice of the pie for anyone's budget, right? And wow, the numbers here are pretty stark. The median home price in Charlotte is a staggering $51,000 higher than in Cabarrus County. For a lot of people looking to buy a house, that difference alone, that's a total deal breaker. Let's put some real numbers to it. We're talking $425,000 for a median home in Charlotte versus just $374,000 in Cabarrus. It's plain and simple, really. Your money just buys you more home in the suburbs. And hey, this isn't just a home buyer thing. If you're renting, you're going to see some major savings too. I mean, we're talking about saving hundreds of bucks every single month, whether you're looking for a 1-bedroom apartment or a 3-bedroom house. That adds up incredibly fast. All right, so we've covered the huge mortgage or rent check. But what about all those daily costs? The stuff that really adds up and shapes your monthly budget? Let's get into it. So let's talk utilities. The savings definitely continue here. In Cabarrus County, you'll probably pay a bit less each month for your power, water, the whole deal. Now, it's not going to be this massive, life-changing difference, but look, these small, consistent savings, that's what it's all about. It all adds up. And you know what? It's a pretty similar story when you head to the grocery store. While both spots are fairly reasonable, Cabarrus County does come out a little cheaper. And part of the reason for that is you just have more budget-friendly options like Aldi and Lidl that are really common out there. And of course, we can't forget about your car. Gas prices are pretty much the same everywhere, but your insurance premium, it's going to be noticeably lower in Cabarrus County just because it's less dense, more suburban. We're talking a couple $100 a year right back in your pocket. Okay, let's move on to the stuff that isn't always on the price tag. The hidden costs, the fine print. I'm talking about taxes, and this is where things can get a little tricky and maybe not what you'd expect. All right, so here's where things get really interesting. When we talk about property taxes, there's a bit of a twist. I mean, you'd think the place with lower home prices would have lower tax bills, right? Seems logical. But is that actually how it works out? Let's take a look. Whoa, okay, check this out. Cabarrus County actually has a higher property tax rate. Kind of weird, right? But here's the kicker. Because home values are so much higher in Charlotte, the actual amount of money you pay, your tax bill, ends up being lower in Cabarrus County. This is just a perfect example of why you gotta dig deeper than the headline numbers. Okay, we have crunched a ton of numbers. We've looked at everything from housing to taxes. So now let's pull it all together and talk about what this really means for your lifestyle and for that big final decision. So when you boil it all down, here's the deal. Charlotte gives you that big city energy, the major job hub, all the urban stuff you could want, but it comes at a premium, and you're going to deal with more traffic. Then you have Cabarrus County. You get some serious savings, more space, quieter streets, but the trade-off might be a longer commute to work and, fewer options for a Friday night out. So really, the verdict is pretty clear. It all comes down to what you value most. Is your focus on climbing that career ladder and soaking up the city life? Or is it more about stretching your dollar and getting more space for you and your family? In the end, it all boils down to one really powerful question. What do you value more, your time or your money? And your answer to that is going to tell you everything. It'll point you either toward the time-saving, opportunity-rich city of Charlotte or to the money-saving, more spacious suburbs of Cabarrus County. The choice, as they say, is yours.